All right, y'all. We are live on this. I don't know how to describe the weather today, but it's a Monday, and it's a good Monday. Praise God. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Yeshua. Blessings to everybody in the name of Yeshua, the Messiah, the God of Israel. I do pray that everybody is blessed. We have a lot of important things to talk about today. Going to go over the markets. Going to talk about what I think is going to happen. Going to talk about how I am trading this, guys. The trades have been on fire, baby. They've been on fire, baby. So yeah, let's get the likes up, y'all. If we can get this stream up to 750 likes during the stream, y'all already know I'm going to give away that 0.025 Bitcoin. And looks like I spelled the title wrong, right? I didn't spell bullish with two L's. I spelled it with one L. So we're just going to roll with it, guys. We're going to roll with it, okay? We're going to roll with it. I'll fix it. What the heck? What the heck? Boom. Click a save. Shout out to everyone in here. Shout out to Cool Lamb. Shout out to Justin H. Shout out to Bar None Off Grid. Shout out to B5Man L and Dr. Crypto, who needs more Pokemon cards. Honestly, Dr. Crypto, a first edition Charizard. Oh man, I have a sad story. You know, I believe it or not, I had the original 150 Pokemon cards. Okay, I should say 151. I had Mew. I had the Ancient Mew, the real Ancient Mew, before that movie came out and they gave away the fake Ancient Mew. Right? My brother sold them when I was on tour with my band. And yeah, sad story. Sad story. Yeah, let's see what's going on, guys. We're getting a nice little bounceroo. We're getting a nice little bounceroo. Hang on, I have to make sure that I'm not showing anything on my charts before we jump into this, because I don't want to give away all the secrets, guys. I don't want to. It wouldn't be fair for the people in my VIP Discord if I gave away all the secrets here. But I do want to talk about what I think is going to happen in general, and also the current trades I've got going on. All right, guys, let's get into it here. Let us get into it. Peace to everybody. Peace. I hope everybody is doing well. And as you can see, from now on, I think when I do the live analysis, I am absolutely going to be wearing the Pikachu hat. Just so you guys know that this is not in any way, shape, or form financial advice. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. You should never, ever listen to somebody on the internet who streams from his basement gym wearing a Pikachu hat. Okay? Don't. It's not financial advice, guys. It's not financial advice. All right, so currently, let's jump right into the Bitcoin, guys. The Bitcoin is indeed getting a nice bounce off of this level right here. We actually did get two bounces, guys. We got two bounces. One off the bounce from here, y'all. And the second bounce we got from the bounce again level. And yes, of course, guys, of course, I am in a long position from the bounce again level. And you can see the chickens are drinking, guys. The chickens are drinking. It's a pretty nice position. Up about 12% right now. I'm going to limit out 10% profit right here just to lock that in. And yeah, so I'm going to kind of talk about these markets because it's it's quite an interesting thing that's been going on here lately. The trades have been trading very nicely because the levels have been so well respected. And so basically, let's start with last week. Last week, this is the 4-hour time frame. Last week, basically, I'm going to start with this long. Then I'm going to talk about this short. I'm going to talk about this short. I'm going to talk about the longs that I'm currently in right now. And my goal here is to kind of show you guys how I'm finding these trade setups, okay? So starting last week, and this is very important, okay? Hang on. Let me get to the... Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so starting last week, let's see. Where are we? Right here. Okay. Yeah, so starting last week on August 26th, we had this scalp setup right here, right off a 618 level. And basically we're coming right down to 46,360. And you can see that we were getting what I like to call a divergence sweep on Market Cipher B. Okay, and this was basically a scalp setup that I saw. I posted it a few minutes later. It actually happened. We did get that pretty nice bounce, and you can see the chickens were absolutely drinking off of this level. And again, the way we found this trade setup here was it was right off of a Fibonacci golden pocket level. So if we take our fib from let me go down to a lower time frame and just kind of walk you through what you're going to be looking for when you find these trades. Okay, so we're going to take our Fibonacci golden pocket from here to here. Actually, I don't think it was that one. Maybe it was down from here. Yeah. It was right here. Okay, we're going to take our fib level from here to here. And here's the thing, guys. When you're pulling your fib, I know that I've gone over this in previous videos, but it's very important that you're pulling the fib from multiple swing lows to the same swing high. If you see that we're dumping and we put in our high right here, you want to make sure that you're pulling your fib from this low right here, from this low right here, from this low right here, even from this low right here, to the same swing high to find different levels of support on the way down. Okay, and so then what you're going to do as price is coming down to those levels, you want to be looking for bullish divergences happening on these time frames. So what do we see right here? As we're coming down to this fib level, we see a bullish divergence on the 1 hour where momentum is putting in a higher low right here and price is putting in a lower low right here. Okay, and then if we zoom in even more, we go to the 24-minute time frame. We can see the same exact thing where the momentum is, if we pull it from back here, actually we have to pull it from way back here in order to see, but we can see as we're coming down to our level, the price is coming down, the momentum not so much, but we can clearly actually see the money flow coming up here. We go down to an even lower time frame like the 12-minute, and on the 12-minute it becomes abundantly clear that we're getting the uneven butt cheek pattern as we're coming right down into our area of support. Okay, so the uneven butt cheek pattern, guys, is something I talk about a lot, but basically it's where you see as you're coming down to an area of support, you want to see something. Well, actually, we didn't get it right here. We did get it on the 12-minute, but the uneven butt cheek pattern, I'll get into that a little bit later. But as you're coming down to your area of support, you want to see the divergences coming in. You want to see money flow coming up. You want to see momentum coming up. And here's something else that I think is very important. Always make sure to wait for your level. Wait for your level. There's a lot of temptation to long here because the uneven butt cheek pattern that did form. Okay, there's a lot of temptation to long early. But I have found that if you wait and are patient for price to come to your actual level, that is where the trade will actually happen. Okay, so that was the first trade that I entered last week, and that trade is currently up. I forget what percent it's at right now, but I did take profits at 44%. Okay, and then just yesterday, okay, I posted this potential scalp setup where I was looking for price to come right into this key area of resistance. Okay, we had a point of control and we had a golden pocket right here, and I wanted to see bearish divergences on the 12-minute time frame. We actually did get that trade hit, and we dropped down, and we actually did get this kind of massive dump right here, and it was a pretty nice scalp. And so this trade hit, got stopped out in profit, and then what happened was after we hit that first short. Let's come to our current chart right here. Yeah, so we hit that first short from right here. Hit the first short from right here. Got a drop down. Then we came up here. Now, this is an area I shorted it from right here. The reason I shorted it from right there is because we can see, actually, we were coming up to a Fibonacci level, a 618 Fibonacci resistance. If we pull it from the swing low to the swing high, we can see that we came right up to that 786 level. And why did I enter the short right here? I did, in the Discord, tell everybody that I'm short from the 786 because of the fact that we came up to it like this, as we were printing massive bearish divergences on Market Cipher B, right? And then we got a massive drop. So I'm currently still in this short position right here. This short is up a good chunk, a good chunk of profit. That was a nice short, up over 50%. And then, so after that, as I'm watching things drop, I was seeing us, we were coming down to this very important level right here. These two very important levels, actually. We've got a bounce from right here. We've also got a bounce from right down here. Why are these levels so significant? Well, right here, we can see that last night we were coming down to a very important level, this Fibonacci 618 level. It was actually a key confluence level. There was a lot of confluence here, a lot of confluence right at this level. You can see I have it marked just as a very important level at 47.6, and I wanted to see us come down there and get the uneven butt cheek pattern on the 6-minute time frame for a nice bounce, okay? And we actually did. That limit order got filled in my sleep. I was too tired to wait for it. But we can see here on the 6-minute time frame, as we came down to that level, we didn't get the uneven butt cheeks, but we got a very clear bullish divergence as we came right down to that level. Okay, that was a pretty nice trade. And then what happened was basically, this is other stuff I was looking at, but what started to happen was I told everyone, look, I'm still in that long setup from last night unless we lose the 0.65, and I also plan to add more to the long if we get the uneven butt cheeks on the 6-minute as we tap the 0.65. So I was looking for something like this to happen on the where we come down to that second fib level, right? Putting in a bullish divergence on the 6-minute time frame. And basically, guys, that's what happened. This is the 12-minute time frame, but we did in fact get the uneven butt cheeks pattern, and we got a nice little bounce from that area, and that's the long trade that I'm currently in right now. And you can see we are getting a pretty nice bounce from that level right now. And so here's my plan, basically, guys. My plan is if price keeps dropping down, I'm going to be looking for levels to long. Okay, and then if price comes up, I'm going to be looking for levels to short. And basically, that's my overall plan. So how am I feeling about the market overall? Well, I did post this morning in the Discord. And by the way, guys, if you want to get into this Discord, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Jason Casper. I post my ideas in here. I post my potential trade setups in here. None of this is financial advice. Remember, guys, you should never take your financial advice from a guy wearing a Pikachu hat on the internet in his gym. But I do trade in here a lot of coins. I trade Ethereum. I trade Ethereum trade setups in here. I trade altcoins in here like this juicy Ripple long that I was looking at, eyeing this thing up, man. I'm actually stoked on this long because about a week in advance, I had a plan to trade this. And then about 5 days later, you know, we got the bounce right off of that level, and you know that trade is up. It hit take profit one. I'm still in the trade. It was up at one point over 100%. I'm still in it. Jason Casper, patreon.com/Jason Casper. Also, guys, I still do have the 30% discount on the course. If you go to jasoncaspertrading.com and use the coupon code New Content Special, you can get 30% off on the course. Boom. And okay, so Flumbale wants to know, is there a free volume profile without buying TradingView? Yes, there is free volume profile, guys. Let me see here. There is a free volume profile. I think it's called Poor Man's Volume Profile or something. Let's see. Yeah, Poor Man's Volume Profile. You can see right here. It's pretty accurate, right? It's a little bit. Yeah, I mean it is pretty accurate, I think. Right. It's showing us right here. I'm not exactly sure how it works compared to the others, but you can see it's pretty close with the point of control and everything. Okay, let me shut that. So overall, guys, I am in the short term for Bitcoin. I think we can come down more. I think there's more downward potential here. If we look at the 1 hour time frame, we can see that we are getting the bearish uneven butt cheek pattern where the money flow is coming down, and the butt cheeks, it's the left glute that's not firing well. The right glute is firing well, okay? They're squatting down to depth. Okay, it's a full squat. Would get 3 green dots at a competition. But the problem is the left glute is not firing. It got injured, and so it's not able to fire. So there's a little bit weakness there. We see the money flow coming down. I think there's a little bit more downward potential here. Look at the 2 hour. The happy wappy has turned into the floppy woppy. Okay, the happy wappy has turned into the floppy woppy, meaning the VWAP on Market Cipher B is starting to point downwards. Okay, and I do think there is potential here to come down lower. On the other hand, there are a lot of bullish signs on this chart. So, first of all, we are indeed finding support on a golden pocket. The last time we found support on a golden pocket, we got to move to the upside. Second of all, we have a lot of hidden divergences showing up here. Okay, if we come to the 2 hour, we have a very clear hidden divergence right here where momentum is coming down as the price is putting in a higher low. Okay, we see that same exact thing happening on the 1 hour, even more so, right? We see clearly the hidden bullish divergence. We even come to the 8 hour, and we actually still can see that over time the momentum is coming down, right? I also posted this morning in the Discord that there are other bullish signs. For example, come over here, take a look at this is coinalyze.net, free software you can use to take a look at CVD divergences. We can see that there is I call this a hidden bullish divergence, but technically, absorption, right? There's a lot of selling pressure, yet the price continues to come up from here. We also see that we're in an uptrend. We see that this is the 4 hour time frame, by the way. We see open interest is increasing. There are things behind the scenes that are looking kind of bullish, even though in the short term, I think there is more bearish potential. I'm long and I'm short. Again, I did short last night from up here. So, I'm in a pretty nice short if we do continue to dump. But if we pump from here, I'm also long from here. I'm also long from here. And I'm also in these massive swing longs from like 34K. They are pretty massive. Those longs are pretty dang massive. Hang on here. They're pretty massive. So I'm in a pretty good position. On the 8 hour though, the thing that is a little concerning is money flows coming down. If we go to the 12 hour, same deal, money flows coming down. And if we go to the daily, we could see, we're kind of getting some pretty intense bearish divergences that may or may not have played out yet, right? We saw price coming up to this level as we were printing the bearish divergence right here. And then, did this bearish divergence play out yet? On the one hand, you could say it did play out, and instead of getting a drop, we just consolidated sideways for about a week. On the other hand, you could say it's still playing out when we put in a low, a lower high, and then we continue to put in lower low, lower high, lower low, and come down a little bit more, right? It really depends on how we're looking at this here. And so for me, my plan is really just to mark the levels and then trade according to what Market Cipher says. Right, so if we go to our daily time frame, and let me just turn off some of these fibs here so that we have a cleaner chart. Okay, that's where we got our bounces from. What's this thing here? Let's turn that thing off. Yeah, so really, guys, there's two main resistances, two main areas of resistance that I think we need to pay attention to for potentially getting a short trade on Bitcoin. And the first one is, the good old Fibonacci retracement from the high at 65K to the low, the bottom of the dump. And we can see here that, in the near short future, we could really come up to this golden pocket area, which is coming in about 51.1K to 52.2K. around 51 and 52K in that general pocket. This is a very strong area of resistance that we have in the future. And so if we are going to get another pump up to the upside, something else that could happen is we could come up into that golden pocket, print a wave here, and still have bearish divergences on the daily time frame. That would make for actually a really nice swing short position. And I would enter that trade more of a swing trade and less of a scalp trade. Maybe a day trade, but definitely not really, not much of a, I think we could get a deeper retracement if we come back up to this golden pocket area. The reason I say that is because, you know, look what happened when we came to the 382 level, right? We came to the 382 level and we got a nice 12% retracement from around 42.4-ish K. Yeah, we got a nice retracement from there, and so it only makes sense that on the way up here, if the uptrend is going to continue, and there is a lot, like I said, there's a lot of bullish things here, but if the uptrend is going to continue, it makes a lot of sense that we would get a retracement out of this level here. And before we get to that level, we also have this daily naked point of control right here at around 52.75. And, you know, I'm also keeping my eyes on that level for another potential rejection. It looks like to me that we're consolidating, and because of the bullishness of, you know, what I see here, and also the hidden divergences that are all over Market Cipher B on the 8-hour time frame, on the 1-hour time frame, on the 2-hour time frame, I really think that if we're going to come down more, we're going to get a significant move to the upside from one of the supports below us. So what are the supports below us that I'm looking at? Oh, and by the way, guys, I know that especially if you're newer to trading, some of this stuff might be kind of over your head, and that's totally okay. But if you want to learn this stuff and actually learn how to systematize your trading, check out jasoncaspertrading.com, because this course will give you the knowledge and the skills you need to become a more confident, more profitable trader. Of course, nothing's guaranteed. Most people lose money trading. But this is basically the way I trade, walking you through step-by-step the way I trade. And this is actually changing the way people approach these markets, because it's what I've done is I've taken everything I wish I had known before I started, and I just put it into a very step-by-step, easy-to-digest session of videos that go through all the TA that you need to know to get started, how I use Market Cipher to find those really good entries, how to create and test your own trading strategy. I actually give you strategies that I use. I give you about, it started out with just 3 of them. Now I think there's like 7 strategies in here that you can use. These are all back-tested strategies that have a very high win rate. Then talking about risk management, so that even if you're not the best trader in the world, even if you lose more trades than you win, you can still be profitable over time, because if you have good risk management, you are mitigating your risk, and those losses do not hurt you. I mean, obviously you lose money, but they don't put you in a position to where you won't be able to make money back, and that's very important, y'all. Very important. jasoncaspertrading.com, check it out. There's actually a 30% discount right now in the description of this vid, and it looks like we have a green dot on Market Cipher B. Boom. Check that out. Shout out to Luis Rivera. Low Fib is doing good. Shout out to Mark Miller, who says the course is worth every penny. Shout out to Crypto Yacht. Duper says on the 1 hour he only sees a hidden divergence on the MACD histogram, not Market Cipher. Okay, so yeah, on Market Cipher B, looks like we're starting to get a significant move now. The hidden divergence is coming in right here. We're connecting green dots to green dots. We see that price is coming up while the momentum is coming down. That is a hidden divergence right there. And nice, nice. We're getting a bounce here. We are getting a bounce. Shout out to everybody who took the trade, who actually took both trades, because this was a nice bounce right here. Boom. And then obviously this is also a nice bounce right here. I think it's very probable that we get a more significant bounce from here. Okay, so let me just quickly pull out a fib here, guys. I mean, we've got this going on right here. Yeah, interesting. So I would say that the next really important area of resistance locally is this right here again, this golden pocket, and we have that same old point of control up there. Actually, let me just make sure that's still the point of control. Just analyzing the volume that was traded from the time that we came up above this important area. Let's just see what's going on. Yeah, that's still the point of control. So honestly, if we're going to continue on this little local downward trend here, it would make sense that locally to be looking right here, and also this 786. The 786s, guys, have been offering really good trades lately. In fact, the other night, where did I miss a short? I think I missed a short from up here because I didn't. Yeah, I missed a short from here because I didn't want to short that 786. I wanted to wait for higher. I should have shorted that 786. It offered a really nice trade the other night. Or was that here? I forget where exactly that happened. It might have been right here. Yeah, it was right here 2 days ago. This was a 786 fib. If we pull it from, where from here to here? No, from here to here. Yeah, right here. I saw this happening. I posted about it even, but I wanted to wait until we came up a little bit higher for a short. Those 786s have been juicy. And then even last night, guys, this short right here that I took was off the 786. So I'm kind of giving them a little bit more weight these days. Those 786s. Those silly 786s, giving them a little bit more weight these days. But, of course, if we dump down from here, then there's also areas that I think we can expect a bounce from. And so what do? You know, we pull out our fib. We pull out our fib, and let me turn off this range here, just to kind of see some areas that we could be looking for a potential bounce from. So let's go to the 4 hour, zoom out here, and yeah, let's take a look. You know, obviously, we're going to be pulling our fib from a lot of swing lows to a lot of swing highs, but one of the most obvious ones to me is this one right here. We've got that golden pocket coming in at about, you know, 46.4. And not only is that a golden pocket, but it's also, you can see here, we did have some support right here in the past. And so now we have this fresh golden pocket down here. If we come down, I would be looking for the bullish divergences there to print. Potentially, if we come down more from here, guys, we could have a bullish divergence on the 4 hour as we come down into this golden pocket, right? If this happy wappy turns a little bit floppier and this wave kind of comes down a little bit more, then, I mean, that would be actually just super nice to see. If we come down to maybe this this golden pocket area, or even the 786, really what I would want to see, to be totally honest with you guys, is that we would come down, and I would want to see us either bounce off the 618 or even just in general allow a little leeway to come below the golden pocket before looking for a bounce. As long as those bullish divergences are forming, I would still long this if the golden pocket, if we came below it, simply because we have this wick right here. And it would just make a lot of sense that we would have a little fake out where we come down below that wick and grab the liquidity from down here before getting the bounce to the upside. If we have the bullish divergences on the 4 hour, on the 2 hour, on the 1 hour, if we have them on the 12 minute, on the 6 minute, I mean, that in my mind would make a pretty juicy long scalp trade, at least a scalp. And then, you know, basically what I do is I'm pulling my fib out from different places. I'm looking for confluence amongst the fibs, right? Confluence between the fibs. So, you know, take a look at this, guys. We have that 786 level is looking even juicier now because there's actually a golden pocket inside that 786. Actually, the 786 is inside that golden pocket. Keep pulling out even more fibs, and we could pull it from, let's say, this low here to the high. And really what I like to do, y'all, is I like to look for confluence, right? I like to look for those levels that are super strong. They're super strong. There's a lot of fib confluence there. And, you know, right now, we can kind of see that, look at this. Look at this level right here, guys. This zone of support right here is a 382, a golden pocket, and a 786. Right? So this is an idea. Now you could say, okay, this zone right here, there's a lot of confluence here. And then you could check to see if there's any other levels there, right? Are there any daily levels there? Are there any weekly levels there? Yeah, look, there's a weekly level right here at the 0.65. So you could say this is an extremely strong area of support. If we get down to that level, what I will do is I will look at Market Cipher B, and if I see that we are getting bullish divergences, I will look to enter along. If I see that the higher time frames, like the 4 hour, is printing a bottom, like if we were down there right now, guys, and I saw this, I would consider this extremely bullish. I would consider this extremely bullish if we were down there right now. And then you want to go down to the 1 hour time frame. And ideally what you would want to see on the 1 hour time frame as we're coming down there, right? You'd want to see price coming down. You'd want to see Market Cipher B giving us, you know, a nice uneven butt cheek pattern as we come down there, or at least giving us, if not the uneven butt cheeks, guys, at least giving us a very clear bottom, like one of these green diddly doots, or at least about to print one of those green diddly doots. And then on the lower time frames, guys, the 24-minute and stuff like that, then you would want to see this. Okay, this is what you would want to see. This is a very clear bullish divergence right here on the 24-minute time frame. We can see the momentum is coming up as the price was coming down. We want to go to the 12-minute, and we want to see the same thing. Look at this on the 12-minute, guys. When we got this, as we were coming down to that, the long that I actually did just take, we can see that we are getting a bullish divergence on the 12-minute. I did make a video called the Divergence Suite Trading Strategy. If you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jason Casper. Let's see here. My channel. Go to videos. Recently. This one right here. This video. Bitcoin scalping strategy. Check out this strategy, guys, because this is basically showing you. This is called the Divergence Suite Strategy. I'll drop a link in the chat. This, if you've been struggling to find those good entries, will really help because it kind of tells you how to look for the warning signs that we're about to get a reversal, and then it shows you exactly what to look for the entry, because the entry is going to be a little bit different. Just because you see bullish divergences on the high time frame does not mean that we are actually going to get the bounce right away. Does not mean we're going to get the bounce right away. In fact, it could mean that we could come down still a lot more. Crypto Yachts doesn't get the hidden divs. All right, guys, so let's get these likes up here. If we can get these likes up to 750 by the end of the stream, I will give away 0.025 Bitcoin. Also, if y'all could share the stream, tweet it out on your Twitters, share it on your Bookface, all that stuff. If everyone calls their mom and says, "Hey, Ma, come like the video," we could really get this up. I just want to give away money, guys. That's all. Enes Malik, looks like I learned something from Chart Champions. Yes, Chart Champions. They are great. Daniel is an amazing trader. And yeah, definitely a big influence on my style of trading. Very big. The 8-hour money flow looks like it's crossing down into the red. Now let's check it out. Yeah, yep, it does. So the hidden divergences, Crypto Yacht, are if you see that the momentum is coming down like this, but you also see that the price is making a higher low over time. So you're going to connect the green dots together. And if you see from the connection of the one green dot to the connection of that other green dot right here, if price is making a higher low across this trend line as momentum is making a lower low, this is a hidden bullish divergence. Okay, this is a hidden bullish divergence. And that's a continuation pattern showing that we're in an uptrend and we've come to the bottom of the retracement and are now ready to get another move to the upside. We can see that happening right here, where actually we came down to right here. Was this a trade that I took? I don't remember. Yeah, I think this was a scalp that I took, right? But anyway, you can see that we got that here, and really it was the bottom of the retracement, and we got another move to the upside. And of course, you know, it's never going to be perfect, right? Like, this wasn't actually another higher high that we put in, but we still had a little continuation there. And maybe now this is going to be the point where we actually do put in a higher high. And something else that's important to keep in mind is the fact that these divergences become invalidated if the price then comes lower than your original point, right? If the price comes lower than your original point, then they become invalidated. And I would say also that they're a bit more speculative than they are because you could say that yes, we have one from back here to where we're currently at, but if you look at this right here, price is coming down, momentum is also coming down. You could say, okay, there is no hidden divergence here. I look for these patterns because I think that they are important. I think that there is something to be said when you see the hidden divergences on Market Cipher B. Even if money flow is coming down, guys, we've had a lot of good setups with the money flow coming down. Where was that? A few weeks ago, or maybe it was just last week actually, where yeah, that there's a pretty epic trade that I took. Yeah, this trade, okay? This epic trade, we were starting to see the hidden divergence on the 2-hour. We could see price is making the higher low, momentum is making the lower low. We were also starting to see regular bullish divergences on the 1 hour, and then we kept on waiting to see, okay, we're getting the hidden bullish divergences. Now, the best way these hidden divergences will play out is if you have the hidden divergence immediately followed by a regular divergence. So I saw the hidden divergence happening. If you see that there's a hidden divergence and price is coming to a significant level, be patient and wait for price to come to that level, especially if you get this regular bullish divergence after the hidden bullish divergence on these high time frames. That's when you're going to get that really significant move. And so we can see, like, right after that happened, that's exactly, what my hopes came true, right? We got the regular bullish divergence on the 2-hour. Right here we can see momentum making a higher wave as price made that lower low right into the golden pocket. That's what happened. We got a nice bounce there. And so that's kind of, you're going to use those hidden divergences are warning signs, and then the regular divergences will be your entries. And then even though we got this bounce off the golden pocket here, we didn't have divergences across all time frames, which is why I was still waiting for a little bit lower here. I wanted to see the divergence on the 6-minute as well, because even though we did get a bounce right off the 0.65 with a bullish divergence on the 2-hour, we didn't have any kind of bullish divergence on the 6-minute here. And I find that the best entries will come if you have divergences on all time frames. So if you have hidden divergences on the high time frames, and then you start to print regular divergences on those high time frames, and then you start to print regular divergences on those low time frames, that's how you're going to catch the bottom. And this long from 47175, that was a good trade. That was a good trade. I think I'm actually still in that trade. I'm not sure. Yeah, I have to be. I have to be. That was a good trade. This bounce right here. Look at this. There's a lot of confluence there too. It was a daily naked point of control. It was a golden pocket right around there. It was this trend line here. It was the target of this rising wedge right here. We broke down out of the rising wedge. We hit the target. We got our bounce. Yeah, that was a good trade, guys. That was a good one. All right. Whoop. Don't want to give away the secrets on here. All right, y'all. Let's see. Been streaming for about 40 minutes. Am I still in my long setup from last night, or did I got stopped, Mr. 1337? Yes, I still am in that long. I said this morning here in the Discord that just for your information, I'm still in the long setup from last night unless we lose the 0.65. I also plan to add more to the long if we get the uneven butt cheeks on the 6-minute as we tap that 0.65. Not financial advice, but I think we can get another bounce. So I was holding on to my long, even though it wasn't some drawdown here, guys. Even though it wasn't some drawdown. And then simply I had taken profits out, earlier this morning. I woke up. Like I said, I posted this trade setup here. I went to bed. I had a limit order set. I woke up and this is what I saw. I missed the opportunity to actually take some good profits out here. I took profit out here. Not bad, right? Not a bad move. Made money in my sleep. Great. But then I saw potentially us getting another move down, getting the uneven butt cheeks on the 6 minute, saying, okay, as long as we don't lose this 0.65, I'm just simply going to add to my position. And that's what I did. So I added to my position, was hoping for this to happen. That's what happened. Boom. Chicken started drinking. And so that's currently the long I'm in. I did take some profit out of that long in the beginning of this stream because it's, why not? I'm a big proponent of taking profit while in profit. Seriously. If you make sure that you don't lose, then you're on a good track to win. And that trade is currently up. I'm going to take out just another little bit of profit here. Currently up about 18%. Yeah, that actually brings up a good point about locking in profits, guys. I mean, I had confidence to stay in the trade because I considered this 0.65 to be the support that if we lost, I would close the trade. But because I already took profits out up here somewhere on that first bounce, right? We got a bounce off of here. I took profits out here, more than enough to give me a break even if we came down below here and got stopped out. I would take a very small loss because I took these essentially a break even because I took some profit out up here. I added to my position down here, so now I'm back up here with a fat position again. I've taken some profits out here, moved the stop loss right to where I entered, and so the trade is now a guaranteed winning trade. And that's honestly, if you can lock in profits, ensure that you're not going to exit the trade with less money than you started. Yeah, the gains are not going to be as big, but the losses are not going to be as big. And if you're not losing money, then those trades that just run for a while, they're going to carry you through, and they're going to make you profitable over time. Antoine wants to know, how did I... Shout out to Memory Man, by the way. Thank you, Memory Man, for being here. May God bless you. I like you, Memory Man. You're a cool guy. You're a cool guy. Shout out to Shaman8, also in the Discord. Shout out to Crypto Yacht. How do you lock in profits on PHEMEX? Marv has none. You simply just go to the trade that you're in, click close out with a limit order, set the limit order to the price you want to close out, and select what percentage of the trade that you do want to close out. Somebody's asking, what is a naked point of control? A naked point of control is this. If you go to a time frame and you hang on, let me turn off these Fibonators. You go to a time frame and you put on this indicator here called a session volume, right? Just search for session volume. In TradingView, what this will do is this will actually give you hang on here. Okay, it's not right. It's not really working. Session volume, come down. Where is it? Session. Here we go. Session volume will give you a volume profile for each previous candle. Okay, for each previous candle, and the white line is the point of control of each previous candle. Okay, and so if we have this, if we have, like, for example, you can see right up here, right? We have this point of control that we put in right up here, and the reason we call it a naked point of control is because if you put in a point of control and then the following days never come back to tap that level, it's considered naked, and there's a lot of liquidity there that could be grabbed. So if we come back up here and tap that, we could expect some kind of a rejection. Once price covers that naked point of control, then it becomes a closed point of control. And you could see that from yesterday, this point of control is closed because price opened up here and came down, touched it. Now it's no longer naked. It's been touched by the price. So we just don't, that's no longer a naked point of control. It's closed point of control. We've got one down here at about 4.5, give or take. And then we've also currently got one right here. People were looking at this thing here this morning too. We've got one right here at about 47.4, right? So once the close come on, guys, things become much less exciting. It's a good way to remember it. You know, things are exciting while the point of controls are naked, and then once the close come on, the party's over. Party's over. Yeah, let's hit the likes, y'all. Let's try and get yes, a point of control is a potential rebound, Jay Greasy, and yes, and you like to look for confluence there as well. You would like to look for confluence there. So if you can see another reason that the naked point of control would be a good area to take a trade, then by all means, take a trade there. And also, just, be looking at your indicators as well. Like, if you see Market Cipher B giving you clear divergences as we come to a naked point of control, then by all means, take the trade, take the intraday. Yeah, let's get to 1,000 likes, guys. If we get to 1,000 likes, I'll give away 0.03 Bitcoin. Seriously. 0.03 Bitcoins. How much money is that even worth right now? 0.03 Bitcoins? I don't know. Hey, look, I'm frozen. Totally frozen. Let me close this out here. Let me come back on here. Here we go. Back in action, guys. Back in action. Let's find out how much that is. Let's find out. Let's see. Bitcoin to US dollars, 0.03. I'm going to give away $1,400, guys, if we could just get 1,000 likes. Just everyone call your mom. Say, hey, Ma, I'm trying to get 1436. Shout out to Edgar. Thanks for being here. If price gets to a naked daily point of control but just wicks down, does it still count? If it wicks down from there, I'd say that you missed your rejection, honestly. Do I use Gartley harmonic patterns? I personally don't plot them on my chart, but there's a lot of people on my Discord who do, and I take them into consideration for sure. I take them into consideration. Shout out to my fans from Iran. Thanks for being here, Arsalan from Iran. That's pretty cool. Got some Persians up in here. Got some Persians. How do you switch from cross to isolated on PHEMEX? I think, I'm not sure offhand. Let me check. If you're on the mobile app. Let's see. I've got 3 open positions. I'm long on Ripple. Still that trade I posted last week. I am long on the corn. I am long on the Ethereum. Okay, so all I am doing here is you go to charts and click the coin pair you want to trade. Go ahead and click buy, and then you should see a little box, a little drop down where you can change the leverage, change it to cross, and or isolated. That's how I do it. So if you're in there, if you're in the PHEMEX app, go to contract. The icon second from the right on the bottom, then go to charts, and then it'll give you the buy sell options. Click buy or sell, and you can do market or limit, and then you can change your leverage in there as well. So yeah, my TP levels for the trade, asks Dave. Well, I hadn't thought that far ahead, to be honest with you. I've already taken some profit out. I would like to come up to at least these fib levels here. So this 382, this 618, this 786 would be significant take profit levels besides my initial locking in. So when I scalp, what I do is I take profits early, I lock those profits in, and and then I think about my real take profits later, because if it's a scalp that happens quickly, my main focus is usually getting the good entry, and then once I've got the entry, once we get the initial bounce, then you know, it's very, there we go. Once we get the initial bounce, like what we did from right here, you know, I'll lock in profits pretty early so that I can ensure that if we come back down to my entry, it will be a trade at basically break even, probably a very small win. If you take out, you know, 15% of your trade after the initial bounce, stop loss of the entry, you know, it's a break even trade. If we come down and you get wicked out, let's say, and there's still a support down here and we come back up, you can always re-enter. You can always re-enter that trade. Let's see. Whoa. Shout out to Julian. God bless you, bro. Memory man from deep in the heart of Texas watching. That's cool. Crypt Keeper, show my trades. I don't show them live on screen, but I do show my entries, and I do show my setups, you know, in my Discord, right? I show what I'm looking for. I showed what I was looking for last night. That's what happened. We got the bounce right from there. Then I showed what I was looking for again this morning. You know, that's what happened. Boom, get the bounce. I will show my percentages, but I don't show the money. It's irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. If you're trading with good risk management, the only thing that really matters is your entries and are you profitable by practicing good risk management and having a strategy that works. You know, the dollar amount is irrelevant. If you're a 10-year-old kid and you've got, you know, $50 for your birthday and you're trading with that, then, you know, good for you if you're being profitable on that with that $50. If you're an old man and you just inherited your grandfather's old estate worth $3 billion and you're trading with that, then if you're profitable, then good for you. Shout out to CS. Thanks for being here. May God bless you. I've been using between 25 and 30x leverage lately. Jason Castro. But, you know, I still do practice good risk management. In fact, I made a video on this yesterday. I recommend you go check it out. Shout out to JMT Fan 28 who took the course and is really liking it. That's great to hear. May God bless you. HYNA says post my losses too. I do post my losses. I post my losses in the Discord. If I post a trade setup and it gets stopped out, yeah, I post the loss. Shaman 8 wants to know what percentage of my account do I place on those leverage trades? Between 1 and 5% the most. 5% the most of my total trading capital. And I use leverage to isolate my margin so that I'm only risking at the most 5%. So even if I get liquidated, 5% is the most I'll lose. Alice Margatroyd wants to know, how do I keep the levels on my chart organized? Hey, shout out to Spartan Wrestler 119 or 119 or 119. Thanks for being here, man. You're pretty cool. You're a pretty cool guy. So the levels on the chart, or guys, if you want to know more about how I use leverage, check out this video I posted yesterday. I'm actually going to probably take it down soon because right here, leverage, how to use leverage to lower your risk and make more money. Check it out. You can tell it's a more serious video because of the lack of the Pikachu hat. Okay. But this is basically going through how I use leverage in order to risk very little money and make a lot of money. And here's the thing about leverage, guys. Let me talk to you about leverage here. Leverage is simply a tool that you can use to take a small amount of money and make a larger amount of money. And if you combine high leverage with good risk management and good technical analysis, you can really up the leverage, guys. You can up the leverage. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Look at this, okay? I was waiting for price to come here for a bounce. Okay? I could use 50x leverage here and not get liquidated. I didn't. I used 25x. But you could use 50x and not get liquidated because price is not that volatile. If you have a target where you're expecting a pivot point from here, and you know if we come down here, my trade's totally invalidated, then you could take 1% of your account, leverage it up, and because you're using isolated margin, you're only risking 1% of your account, right? So like, if you have $10,000 total, let's say you have $10,000 to trade with, you only want to risk 1% per trade. Let's say 1 to 3%, because I think that's decent, 1 to 3%. Okay, let's say we're going to risk 3% of your total trading capital. That means you're putting $300 on a trade. Okay, you could take this $300 and here, you know what? Because I'm so stupid, and this is not financial advice, by the way, guys. I need a calculator to do math here. So let's say you have that $300, and then you do use 30x leverage. Now you have $9,000 on a trade. If you get liquidated, you're only losing 3% of your total trading capital. Only 3%, which is kind of a big hit, but it's nowhere near as if people just use leverage, like randomly using it 100% of their account, 10x, 20x, 100x, and they lose everything. If you're isolating your margin, if I crank my margin up to 30, okay, and then I put 9,000 contracts onto a long trade, my isolated margin is only $300, meaning the most I will lose if I get liquidated is only $300. Now let's say I enter a trade and it goes up, you know, let's say that it does go up 2%, right? Boom. I just made $180 on my trade. I just made $180 on my trade, and you know, hopefully you would have you would be in a trade that could make you more than $180. But my point is this: if you lose the trade, you're only losing 1 to 3% of your total account. It's leaving you with a lot of capital to continue to make money. So if you have $3,000 on a trade, right, and let's say that the trade goes up, let's say that it does go up 4%. That's a decent amount that trade can go up. You just made $120, okay? So you're risking $100 to make $120. And so now in your total trading account, you have $10,120. $10,120, okay? Now let's say that we lose 2 trades in a row. If you're losing 1% of this, right, 1% of this, then you're losing $101, okay? You still have lots of capital. The problem is people that lose too much capital in one shot, it becomes an uphill battle to try and earn that money back. Because if you lose 25% of your account in one shot, right? If you lose 25% in one trade by leveraging this whole thing, 25x, and the price goes down 1% and you close the trade, if you had $10,000, right, and you're going to take away 25%, you just lost $2,500, right? So you have now, you only have $7,500 left. If you're now going to make back your 25%, okay, that's going to get you $1,875. You just had a losing trade for 25% and then a winning trade for 25%, and you're still $700 in the hole because you're not using good risk management. So if you can make it so that your losses are small but your wins are big, like for example, the trade that I entered in the other day from down here, I mean, look at this thing, right? Potential, and I did take profits up here, you know, a 7% trade. So, you know, you're losing trades here and there. You have $10,000. Let's say you lose 3 trades. Now you have $9,700. Okay, then let's say you get the next trade. You just lost 3 in a row. Your 4th trade is 7%, right? So we have to take, we have that much money. We're going to take 1% of that. $97. Let's say we do a 30x leverage trade. We have almost $3,000 to put on the trade. We make 7% on that. Now we made $200 back. So we're still in the negative, but we're only down $100 after 3 losing trades and 1 winning trade. So now if we do another winning trade, we lost 3, we won 2, and we're actually in profit about $200. So risk management is key, and if you combine risk management with good entries, you're really going to have some success. I recommend you guys check out this video because I explained it much better yesterday than I did just now. I'm telling you. I'll drop it in the chat. I'll drop it in the chat here. Yes, leverage sucks for the impatient. You can only do this kind of leverage if you're actually you can only do that leverage if you actually have the good entries. Crypto Yacht just puts 1% in his Bybit at the minute, so no stop. That's also a good way to do it, you know. Then you can just crank up that thing 100. yeah, that's a good way to do it. But then the problem becomes, you know, it becomes harder to compound when you have less money in there. Seed Full Music says Jesus is Lord. Absolutely, he is 100%. He is Lord, and you know he is the only hope for humanity. As we see things getting darker in this world, guys, we see the injustices on all sides. It's important to keep that in the forefront of our mind. That you know, man is completely incapable to govern himself. I think that's abundantly evident just by history. Man is totally incapable of governing himself. And, you know, the entire story of the Bible is man desiring to govern himself. God saying, all right, you want to govern yourself? You go for it. See how that works out for you. And then when we have gotten ourselves into this horrible predicament, the Lord himself condescends down to our level, takes on flesh to redeem man from his fallen state, to take us back to the state we were originally created to be, which is very good. And then he will establish his government on the earth in the end days. And actually, it's really interesting because, you know, the man's desire to govern himself without God is the reason that man is in this predicament in the first place. It's super interesting. By the way, the TA's over, guys. If you hate the Bible, dip out. The original lie that man was told that caused us to get into our fallen state was in the Garden of Eden when the serpent asked the woman, and he said, the serpent asked the woman, he's like, Af ki amar Elohim lo tochlu mikol et tagan, which means, has God really told you not to eat from all the trees of the garden? And the woman says, you know, she said, from the trees of the garden we may eat, but from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat of it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, Lo mot tamutun, you will not surely die, for God knows that in the day that you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you shall be as gods. Right? The original lore and lie of the devil is that man will be able to govern himself to be his own God. Now, why is that a lie? It's a lie because before man ate this fruit, not only was man like God, in the sense that man was immortal, man had been given the authority to reign over the earth as God's representative on the earth, but also if the order is not in place, right? If the order in our life is out of order, if God is not first, things go astray. And we can see how that's happened over time. That's the original lie right there, that you shall be as your own God. That's a lie. Man isn't capable of being his own God. Casey, you just walked into a Hebrew Bible study, man. And you know, in the last days, actually, I like it better than Mike before. It will come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house, basically, in the last days here, the Lord is going to be king over all the earth. Right? V'haya ba'acharit hayamim yiyeh har beit Adonai nechon Berosh Heharim, right? In the end days, the Lord himself will be king of the earth. And it says that he will judge between the nations. And he's going to cause world peace to be here. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. And each man will sit under his own vine and under his own fig tree, with no one to make them afraid, for the mouth of Adonai Tzevaot has spoken. And we know who that king is, right? That king is Yeshua the Messiah, Jesus the Messiah. You know? The famous song at the end of the Aleinu, Bayom Hahu Yiyeh Adonai Echad. The Lord will be king over all the earth. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. It is said, in that day the Lord will be king over all the earth. The Hebrew Bible is the OG Bible, Crypto Yacht. Yes, that is the original language that it was written in. Although the font has changed over time, right? The Paleo-Phoenician script that Moses probably wrote in is different. This script that we have right now actually came from Aramaic. When the Jewish people were sent into exile in Babylon, they adopted this font for their alphabet, but the letters are the same, they just have a different way of writing them. So, but yeah, it's the OG. And you know what else is pretty cool for anybody out there who's interested? If you read Hebrew, you can go online and you can actually look for high definition Dead Sea Scroll photos here. Okay, where you can actually read these manuscripts right here that are written, penned down literally hundreds and thousands of years before even the birth of the Messiah. You can read the book of Enoch. It's actually really interesting, this stuff here. And believe it or not, it's what I really like about the fact that you can actually see these scrolls here online and read them is, you know, the reason we believe that Jesus is the Messiah is because the Hebrew scriptures bear witness to the fact that the Messiah would come and die for the sins of his people, acting as their high priest before he would act as king. And one of the biggest arguments against that is the fact that the authors of the New Testament kind of inserted their own interpretations and have changed the Old Testament to make it fit their agenda. But we can go back hundreds, even thousands of years before Jesus was born and read the prophecies that Isaiah wrote 700 years before the birth of Messiah. And we can read those actual manuscripts. And I can read them. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to learn Hebrew. So I could go back and read, go back to the source and see, yes, these prophecies were written down hundreds and thousands of years before the events took place. And so I can actually have faith that Jesus is who he says he is, according to the Hebrew scriptures. Yeah, Helena Blavatsky explains in her book about Jesus as a higher hierarchy spirit who came to help people. Yeah, you know, Helena Blavatsky, in my mind, is she's been very influential on the current New Age movement. You know, she, in my opinion, is a false teacher. And if you read her writings, she teaches something that is contrary to the message of the scriptures. So I would warn you, Oleg, against clinging too tightly to the things that she says. Memory Man says those manuscripts could have been fake. Yep, you're right, Memory Man. You know, anything could be fake, guys. Anything could be fake. There's no way to know anything for sure. But I would say it's very unlikely that they are fake. These texts, Memory Man, have been held to the utmost scrutiny, and there are people who would love for them to be fake. Memory Man, you know, it's really interesting, Memory Man. I want to bring up this point because I know where you're coming from, where at least I gather that you're skeptical because you think that the Bible is used to control people, and that's used to control people and to keep people from the truth. If we look through history, we can always see that the establishment, to use that term, has always tried to keep the Bible from people. In fact, the Catholic Church, for the longest time, kept the Bible chained to the pews in Latin only. People didn't even speak Latin, and it was against the law to translate the Bible into English. People actually risked their lives. William Tyndale risked his life to translate the Bible into English in the 1300s. If the Bible is fake and if it's used to control people, why does the religious establishment itself, which we know is corrupt, why does the religious establishment keep people from reading the Bible? Why do churches today not preach the Bible? They don't. They preach some kind of feel-good, pep talk, kind of a motivational speech. They are not preaching the reality of what the Scripture says about sin, about mankind, about redemption. It's because the words of life are actually in this book, and there is a satanic effort to keep it from the people. And Jimmy Descartes says it was the King James Version that was debased and spread by the Vatican. Yeah, here's the thing. And this is one of the things I love about textual criticism and different arguments for and against the authority and the preservation of the Scriptures. Whether or not a religious establishment handled the Scriptures correctly in the way they allowed them to be propagated or not propagated, translated or not translated, one thing is abundantly clear and undisputed by all scholarship from all different religious backgrounds, that the content that we have within the books of our Bible is what the original authors penned down. There is no other book in all of human history that has stood up to as much scrutiny as the books of the Bible have. And there are also no other documents in human history, this is a fact, where we have so much textual evidence that what we have today is what was originally written down. We have tens of thousands of manuscripts, tens of thousands of handwritten copies of the New Testament that go all the way back to the 1st century AD. And, these documents are also claiming to be eyewitness events, eyewitnesses writing these things down. And because there's so much evidence and we have so many manuscripts, we can be very certain that the books we have today are what was originally written down, and they have been preserved, even though the religious establishment has done a bad job handling that information. And the same is true with the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures. Like I just said, we have the manuscripts that bear witness to the fact that our modern Masoretic Hebrew text is the same as it was in 700 BC. We also have the Greek Septuagint to bear witness to the fact that in 285 BC, when Alexander the Great issued that the Hebrew Scriptures be translated into Greek, it stands as a stamp in history that the Old Testament we have today is the same as it was 300 years before the Messiah was born. So there's a lot of evidence to show that although King James might have not been the best guy, the Catholic Church did not handle the Scriptures correctly, the content of those books is still the same. DCS and OFP says religion only caused more harm than good in the world. That's an interesting perspective, DCS, and I want to actually talk about this because I got a comment on my video the other day. Let's see here. Got a comment on my video the other day from somebody who basically said the same thing, and I do want to address that because I think it's an important perspective that needs to be addressed. Let Let me see if I can even find it. Maybe it wasn't this video. Maybe it was another one. Maybe it was this one. Yeah, I think it was this one. Yeah. Yeah, this guy here. He says, Jesus isn't real. I asked him what he meant by that, because there's a lot of different angles somebody can come at when they say Jesus isn't real. Do they mean he never existed, period? I mean, that's kind of, you know, you really can't make the claim that the man never existed unless you ignore mountains of evidence, but you can absolutely make the claim that he was not who he claimed to be. But that's a totally different argument. So I wanted to know what he meant by that. And he says, I don't believe in any faith or religions. They're a big cause of conflict in the world that we live in. And I totally get that perspective. I absolutely get that perspective. But there's another way that we can look at this. And I would go further to say that it's not religion that causes conflict. It goes back to what I was talking about before, the original lie of Genesis 3, where Af, ki amar Elohim lo tochlu mikol hatzagan, you know, has God surely told you not to eat of that fruit? You won't die if you eat it. You will be your own God. The thing that causes conflict goes beyond faith and religion. All men, it's within the human being a necessity to have faith in something, to put your faith in something that transcends yourself. Look at all of humanity. All of humanity will put its faith in something that transcends itself. And I would say it's not the religions that cause the conflict, but it's the fallen nature of man that causes the conflict in this world. And a great example of that would be 20th century communism. Right? Look at what happened in China. Look at what happened in Russia, where religion was eradicated. And in China, it was not Christianity. In Russia, it was Christianity. But in both of those instances, religion was eradicated. And the conflict continued, because in those instances, the government took the place of God, and the conflicts just continued because the man is in the fallen state. If we look at the doctrine of communism, and we just take it objectively for what it says, if man was not wicked, it would not be such a bad system. If man was not wicked, communism would work. If man was not wicked, unregulated, capitalism would work. None of those systems are perfect. I'm not a communist, but we have to admit there are flaws in capitalism where it allows for 1% of people to have everything while the common people get really nothing. It's because man is wicked. It's not because of the religions. And even today, we can look at our own society and see that people have faith in different ideologies, and those different ideologies cause conflict. I mean, look at what's happening in America right now. You have people who are pro-juice. I'm talking about the juice that supposedly protects you from the C-vid-19. And then you have people that are against the juice. You have people that are for the MASK. You have people that are against the MASK. And these people have faith in their different ideologies, and it's causing conflict that has nothing to do with religion. And so my point is basically that it's not the faith or the religion that causes conflict. It's the heart of man that's bent on doing evil. And the only solution to that problem is found in the person and the work of Yeshua the Messiah, because in man's never-ending quest to govern himself, we are never going to be good governors of ourselves. And I'd also like to point out that it's very important, religion, even from a secular point of view, religion is something that's very important for society to be held together. Okay, I'm gonna come at this from just a secular perspective for a second, but if a person doesn't embrace any sort of religious faith or any kind of transcendent morality that's based on an objective truth, okay, if I don't accept that there is an objective truth that defines right and wrong, then we don't even have any grounds to suggest that conflict is a bad thing in the first place. right? If there's no objective right or wrong, then conflict is not a bad thing, right? We cannot make that claim unless there's some kind of objective morality. And if I'm going to suggest that something is wrong, if I'm going to suggest something is evil or immoral, then that requires there to be, if there's a moral law, that requires there to be a moral law giver. It requires there to be a transcendent standard from which we can base our understanding of right and wrong. And if God is not that standard, then man becomes a standard. And we've already established the fact that man is unable to govern himself. And we've established the fact that because of man's inability to govern himself, we will always have conflict simply because of our own fallen nature. And if man becomes the standard, then right and wrong becomes objective. And for me, let's say I'm the strongest guy out here, right? And I say conflict is great. I say rape is okay. I say murder is fine. I say it's okay to steal. If I'm my own standard and I'm the strongest guy in the room, then my might makes it right. And because there's no objective standard, you or anybody else has no right to come and tell me that what I'm doing is wrong, because there's no standard from which to base right or wrong. And so, saying that all conflict comes from religion, I think it's just not a true statement, because we can just look out into the world and see it's actually man who causes the conflict, regardless of whether or not there's a religion. Man will die for something greater than himself that he believes in. It could be the communist CCP. I don't know if anybody supports that government or not. I don't know. I'm not in China. It could be, look at Hitler, right? People had faith in him, and they were willing to die for their faith in his ideologies. And for Hitler, it was okay to murder people. And if Hitler is his own subjective standard of right and wrong, then we have no right to come and say, Hitler, that's wrong. Oh man, that's funny, DCS. This weed I'm smoking is good. Yeah. Okay, so Memory Man says the Trinity is pure insanity. Well, Memory Man, this is something that I think does need to be addressed, because the concept of plurality within God is something that is found all throughout the Hebrew Scriptures. In fact, I can walk you through the Scriptures thousands of years before Jesus was born, thousands of years before the word Trinity was ever used, to show you that there is a plurality within God himself. Now, we know that God is one, right? Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. We know he's one. But there is plurality there. There's plurality there. And when Jesus comes onto the earth, the claims he makes about himself is that I am Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. I am God, right? I am Yahweh. People use that term Yahweh. That's probably not how you say it, but in scholarship, you refer to him as Yahweh. We can go all the way back to the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 18. Okay? It says, Vayera elav Adonai be'elonei Mamre. And the Lord appeared, Yahweh appeared to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. Right? V'hu yoshev petach ha'ohel kachom hayom. And he sat in the door of his tent in the heat of the day. And the Lord, Yahweh, appears to Abraham, and Abraham lifts up his eyes. And what does he see? He sees three men walking toward him. And it turns out that one of these men is Yahweh. In fact, later on, it's literally the Lord. It says, Yahweh said to Abraham, the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great indeed. So we see Yahweh walking on the earth in the form of a man with Abraham. And then in the very next chapter, Genesis 19, it says, notice what it says here. This is when the Lord is destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. It says, then Yahweh rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. So the Yahweh on the earth, who's walking around with Abraham, who ate and drank with Abraham, came down to talk with Abraham. And then Yahweh on the earth rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. So clearly here, in the first book of the Bible, Yahweh is standing on the earth with Abraham, and Yahweh is in heaven, raining down fire and brimstone. We see this concept of plurality within the Godhead very early on in the Hebrew Scriptures. If we go to Jeremiah chapter 23, and we go to verse 6, 7 and 8, right? This is talking about the Messiah right here. There's no debate in Jewish scholarship that this scripture is talking about the Messiah. I can prove that to you by going to the Aramaic translation, and I'll even show it to you in English so that we can see that I'm not making this up. This is an English translation of the Aramaic commentary that was written before the birth of the Messiah. And it says this: "Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord Yahweh, when I will establish a Messiah of righteousness for David, and he shall rule as king and be successful, and will exercise true justice and merit in the land." So the commentators on this passage of Scripture, after the Babylonian exile, said this is talking about the Messiah. What is the name of the Messiah? It says right here. I'll read it to you right out of the Hebrew so you know I'm not making this stuff up. The name of the Messiah is, in verse 6, actually no, it's verse 6. It says, V'zeh shemo asher yikro. This is the name which he shall be called, Yahweh, our righteousness. The name of the Messiah is also Yahweh. We also know that Yahweh is one, and he does not share his name or his glory with another, right? So we can see this concept of plurality within God all the way back in the Hebrew Scriptures. We go to the book of Zechariah, chapter 2. And the reason I'm going to the Hebrew Scriptures here is because this is before the name Jesus was ever known about. This is before the New Testament. The New Testament authors were coming from the worldview of the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures, that already understood there was a plurality within God. Notice what this says. This is speaking now of the days when the Messiah will reign on the earth. And this is the Lord. This is Yahweh speaking. He says, "Sing for joy and be glad, O daughter of Zion, for behold, I am coming and I will dwell in your midst, declares Yahweh." This is Yahweh speaking. "And many nations will join themselves to Yahweh in that day and will become my people." This is the promise of all the nations being grafted into the people of Israel. Listen to what God says here. God says, "Then I will dwell in your midst, and you will know that Yahweh has sent me to you." So Yahweh is speaking, and Yahweh says that I, Yahweh, will dwell in your midst. But we know this is talking about the Messiah, right? We know that this is talking about the Messiah coming to the earth. And God says that I, Yahweh, will dwell with you. And in that day you will know that Yahweh has sent me, who is also Yahweh, to you. There's a plurality here within Yahweh. It's undeniable. We go to Isaiah chapter 9. And, the famous verse that's on all the Christmas cards, right? Ki yeled yulad lanu bein nitan lanu v'tiam Yisrael shechmo. For unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon our shoulders. And this is his name. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, right? The Messiah, he is Mighty God. It's very clear. If we go to the Targum translation, right? The Targums. The reason I go to the Targums is because the Targum is giving us a snapshot into the Jewish understanding of these scriptures hundreds of years before Christianity was ever a thing, right? And I'm using the term Christianity and Judaism because that's what they're easily commonly referred to, right? I don't like those terms, but that's how people can understand what I'm talking about here. But right here, this is look, it says right here that he is the Messiah. The mighty God, the Son that is born and given to us. It uses the word Mashiach right here in the Targums. This scripture was understood to be talking about the Messiah hundreds of years before the Catholic Church, hundreds of years before the word Trinity was ever mentioned, before Christianity was ever mentioned. There is a plurality in God, and he appears as a man on the earth and is still Yahweh. That's just what the Hebrew scriptures bear witness to. And then when we come to the New Testament, it becomes very clear. And remember, these scriptures, these New Testament scriptures, it's undeniable. We have an overwhelming heap of archaeological evidence that these writings have been preserved. Because there are so many manuscripts spreading out in all these different languages, all over the world from ancient times, we can look at them all and say, yes, because they're all, we have so many sources, we can tell what was originally written. It's very clear. John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is claiming that the God himself, the Messiah, was God. It says that all things were created by the Messiah, and nothing was created besides what was created by the Messiah. And clearly there's a plurality here in John 1:1, where John is making the bold claim that, yes, Jesus is Yahweh. And all throughout the New Testament scriptures, we see the very bold claim that Jesus is Yahweh. In fact, we see it right out of Jesus' own mouth. In Revelation chapter 2, verse 8, Jesus is talking here. He says, to the angel of the church of Smyrna, write this, I am the first and the last who was dead and is now alive. The first and the last, that's a very important term, because this is a term, the first and the last, is a term that is ascribed only to Yahweh. So Jesus is saying, I am Yahweh. I was dead and now I have come to life. We can go to Revelation chapter 1, verse 18, where Jesus is speaking again. He says, I am the living one. I was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Therefore, write these things you have seen. He says, I am the first and the last. This is Jesus speaking. I am the first and the last. I am the living one. I was dead. Now I am alive forevermore. And I have the keys to death and Hades. All throughout the Old and New Testament scriptures, it is very clear that there's plurality within God. It is very clear that Jesus and the Messiah was said to be God in the Hebrew scriptures before we ever had a New Testament, before we ever had the word Trinity, before we ever had... Do I like the word Trinity? No, I don't like that word. I don't like that word because it's not biblical. But I understand why it had to come to that, because there were heresies out there claiming that Jesus was not God. And that's actually a heresy. He clearly is. To say Jesus is not God is to contradict the scriptures. And so therefore man had to safeguard that idea, and the way they did it, in my opinion, is a little bit, right? Because that word Trinity never shows up. And it's a mystery. And we can't understand that because we're not God. We can't understand God. If we could understand God, he would no longer be God. Right? We can only take what the scripture clearly says, and we have to either believe it's true or it's not. Okay, so if Jesus is not God, then we have to throw out the Old Testament, throw out the New Testament. And that's fine. It's fine if you want to take that stance. But if we are going to say, yes, this actually is true, then we have to believe that Jesus is God. This is the most religious. This is the most religious thing I've ever done here. You know, it's pretty crazy. I've never actually waxed so apologetic during a live stream. That's so funny. Yes, crypto spawn, the word logos in Greek, is the plan, purpose, inward thought of an outward action. Yeah, that the concept of the Word of God, the Word being God also, you know, we see that in John 1:1, the concept of the Word being God. This is not, and I want to make this clear, In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not something that was just made up by the apostles of Jesus, by the followers of Jesus. This concept of the Word of God also being God, it goes all the way back to the first book of the Bible, book of Genesis. Let's check it out. Genesis 15. After these things, the Word of Yahweh came to Abraham in a vision. Okay, what does that mean? It means the Word of Yahweh came to Abraham, and Abraham saw the Word of Yahweh. Abraham saw the Word of Yahweh. So when John says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, this is the faith of Abraham. This is Abraham's faith. Abraham saw the Word of the Lord. He came to him in a vision. And the Word of the Lord is the one that is giving Abraham this promise, right? The Word of Yahweh is the one giving Abraham this promise. It's not Yahweh alone. It's the Word of Yahweh who appeared to him in a vision. It's very interesting. And Abraham addresses him as Yahweh. Like Abraham said, "O Yahweh." So the Word of Yahweh appears to Abraham in a vision, and the Word of Yahweh is also Yahweh. Right back to the first book of the Bible. We see that in the book of 1 Samuel as well. It says this, the last verse of 1 Samuel 1. It says, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's 1 Samuel 2. Yeah, I don't have my whole Bible memorized, guys, to my own shame. But I mean, look at this. Maybe I can't find it now. Oh yeah, here we go. Samuel the prophet grew up, and Yahweh did not let any of his words fall to the ground, which is basically a phrase that means everything Samuel said came true. And the Lord appeared again at Shiloh because the Lord revealed himself to Samuel at Shiloh by the word of the Lord. So Yahweh was appearing at Shiloh, and Yahweh was revealing himself to Samuel by the word of Yahweh. It's the word of Yahweh that is making Yahweh known to Abraham and making Yahweh known to Samuel. And so it's nothing too crazy for John to say, hey, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That is not a concept that was invented by the church. That is not a concept that was invented by the Catholic Church. These are biblical concepts. See, Jimmy Descartes says the Trinity is all about trust. Law is the system created by the Vatican to fool you into giving away your rights to the mineral wealth of your homeland. See, Jimmy, everything that I just went through recently would actually obliterate that argument that you make, and I mean this in the most respectful way. But if we can go back to thousands of years before the Catholic Church was a thing, and see that the concept that we refer today to as the Trinity, I don't like that word Trinity, right? There's a lot of negative connotations that come with that. There's a lot of skewing and warping of what that actually is. But the concept of Jesus being God and the concept of plurality within Yahweh himself is something that goes all the way back to the very first book of the Bible. JB78 says he can't believe people believe in this crap. We're talking about fantasy. What about goblins? Yeah, I think there's some truth to a lot of these supernatural beings. I think a lot of those things are demonic. And yeah, I mean, if you have a completely naturalistic worldview, where you don't believe in anything beyond what our five senses can see, then yeah, all this stuff is complete fantasy to you, and I respect your worldview. For me, I don't think that I don't think a pure naturalistic worldview can be substantiated by everyday experience. We experience things that are not natural, that cannot be observed through our five senses, that cannot be measured scientifically, like love, like the enjoyment of beautiful colors, These things transcend our ability to do scientific studies and observations, yet we know they exist. And for me, when I look out and I see a creation, I see the effect of the Creator, and I'm not willing to believe that all these things have no other transcendent being behind them. Jason Castro says sometimes it's very hard to not satisfy the flesh. That is very true, Jason Castro. That is true. And it's a battle every day, right? It's a battle every day. Paul goes through that in Romans chapter 7. Edgar Garcia says, interesting conversation. Do I think chaos as a whole is impacting humanity in a negative way? He believes that we must have balance in all things, chaos included. Yeah, I do think it is impacting humanity in a negative way. I also agree with you in the concept that we need to have the chaos in order for there to be not chaos, right? We cannot have peace without chaos. And, I believe the chaos is going to continue, and I believe it's going to take divine intervention to bring that balance. Memory Man says, man 100% created the Trinity. I respect your views, Memory Man. I don't know, after everything I just went through here, showing that this concept of the plurality within God, God being a man, appearing as a man, speaking about himself in third person, the fact that the Hebrew Scriptures tell us that Messiah is also Yahweh, yet he will be a man on the earth. I don't see how you could honestly claim that humanity created that concept when years before the word Trinity was ever uttered, we clearly see a plurality within the Godhead, within the Hebrew Scriptures, thousands of years before the word church was ever uttered, thousands of years before the word Trinity was ever uttered, thousands of years before the word Christianity was ever uttered. We see these concepts being taught clearly in Scripture. So, Jimmy DeCont sent me some links. Bro, can you post them in the chat again? Post those links in the chat once again here, because I don't see them. Antoine says he doesn't understand that as a Jew I like Jesus. Albert Green says all religions are lies. All. Well, if that's true, then everything is a lie. Everything is a lie. And that's okay. If you want to believe that, then everything is a lie. I mean, right now, I would say there's a lot of religions in our culture. Some of them are masquerading as non-religions. But at the end of the day, any system that man will put his faith in is a religion. And I can see a lot of systems right now in our society that man is putting his faith in, and they are very much so religions because they are based on blind faith. Albert Green says science are not lies. Well, it depends on how you define science, Albert. Right? What is science? Empiricism. And science is always subject to change as well. I mean, let's look at good old Henry Cavendish, the guy who was locked up in the nut house for suggesting that you should wash your hands after touching a dead body before you help a woman give birth, right? He was locked in the nut house for that because it was against the science. And I would make the argument that today the word the science is actually the modern day God, because a lot of things that people call the science are not based on empiricism. In fact, they're based on philosophical claims. They're based on opinion. They're based on political agenda. They are based on money and not the seeking of truth. We can see that very clearly today, where the scientific world is being censored, where you will not receive funding if you don't go along with a certain scientific or political narrative. And it really just becomes a religion, where science becomes a religion, where people use the term the science. I trust the science. Well, if you're going to say I trust the science, as if science is this, with the capital T, capital S, being that is just objectively true, well, then that's not science, because science is, the whole premise of science is, we're falsifying previous ideas through empiricism, through the scientific method. And right now, what's happening in the West, at least in my view, is that true science is being censored, and we are only allowed to talk about a certain view, a certain philosophical view of science. I mean, it's very easy to be wrong about things. We can look throughout the past and see that humanity in general was wrong about many things that were thought to be scientifically true. And it's usually not until many, many, many years later that humanity finally admits, oh, right, we were wrong about that, it's time to change. And to assert that now, in the 21st century, we are the pinnacle of human evolution and we are so far advanced that we can't be wrong about anything. Well, then you believe in a religion. You believe in a religion. And that's okay. You believe in a religion, and that's okay. Right. I agree, Albert Green. Science is the search for the truth, and it's the ability to question everything. And I agree with that. And this is the kind of science that I like. It's the kind of science that I like. I like the kind of science where we can question everything and where all sides are heard. And I would say that when it comes to my faith in the scriptures, I go about it the same way. I don't have blind faith. I have done my research and I've looked into these documents and I've looked at the evidence that is available to me to say that, yes, these are accurate documents, right? Why do they have the ability to predict the future hundreds and thousands of years before it happens to a very precise detail? Modern scholarship will say that the book of Daniel had to have been written much later than when it was actually written because of how accurately it describes the wars that happen in the Middle East during the times leading up to Antiochus Epiphanes. Because it's just so accurate. So they have to say, oh, there's no way it could have been written in advance and tell the future like this. Well, what do you know? We have the Septuagint. We found manuscripts of the book of Daniel that date back way before any of those events took place. It's a testimony within history that the Lord speaks to his people, right? And predicts the future before it happens. In fact, God even says in the book of Isaiah, he says, test me on this. This is how you know I'm really speaking to you. I'm predicting the future. So yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence, scientific evidence. We have archaeological evidence. We have manuscript evidence. We even have cultural evidence that the Bible is true, and that the events in that book really did happen. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence if you want to look into it. Right, yeah, the Nazis also believed in science. And here's something else that a lot of people overlook, is that, science and people who are going to take a naturalistic worldview and say there's nothing supernatural are blatantly ignoring the fact that throughout most of history, scientists are today what we would consider magicians, right? It's so funny, we learn about Pythagoras and the Pythagorean theorem. We learn about Sir Isaac Newton and Newtonian physics. We don't learn that these guys were into the occult. We don't learn that Sir Isaac Newton was an alchemist, right? Now, if you look up alchemy, it's called a pseudoscience. Well, these people believed in it. I mean, look at Pythagoras and the stuff he was into. I mean, we don't have a lot of things saved from the Alexandrian library burning down, but the things that we do know from sources, second-hand sources, these guys were into some what we would call magic. and witchcraft, but they fully believed it. And these are the guys inventing or discovering physics and geometry. You know, science throughout history was very much so interlinked with the occult. And I would say that today the same is true, but they put a naturalistic veneer on it. I mean, if you think about just the concept of particle physics, you know, that's a very supernatural, esoteric thing. Non-locality, quantum mechanics. These are esoteric concepts here, right? There is a very fine line between natural science and supernatural science. And I think, unfortunately, in our modern culture, we have so separated the two, we're not able to actually see what's actually going on with a lot of these things that are dealing with very supernatural concepts, like our DNA, information, DNA. That is not a physical thing. That is information. It exists metaphysically, right? The words that I am speaking that are coming out of my mouth right now, those are not material things. They exist metaphysically. Yeah, Daniel brings up a good point. Be kind to one another. Yeah, guys, you know, just so everyone knows, like, I don't mean any disrespect in any way. I respect all people. I respect all religions. I respect all views. I do. But I think it's good to have open dialogue like this. And I appreciate the forum where we can talk about these things. You know? Shout out to Memory Man who says a strong prostate is key. Shout out to James White. He's a cool guy. Why do the Ethiopian Jews use the Book of Enoch? Well, there are different traditions of which books are considered biblical, which are not. And for the Ethiopians, they consider Enoch to be part of Scripture. For me, I believe that the Book of Enoch contains true events, and it's not my place to say which is and is not considered to be inspired. But I believe that it is a book that is important for believers to read, because I think understanding the Book of Enoch will give you a good foundation for understanding a lot of things in the Old and New Testaments. James says, check out Days of Noah YouTube. I love Days of Noah YouTube, James Johnstone. Yeah, in fact, if you take a look at my channel, you can see that I'm actually subscribed to him. Yeah, for sure. I like him. Remy wants to know, why do people stop living for hundreds of years, like Noah and them? You know, who knows, man? I don't know. But it's something probably changed on the earth after that, because we see the lifespan drop off like crazy. We see the lifespan drop off like crazy, and it's interesting that Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, they're all living to their 500s, and then their sons living to like their 200s, and then it's just a drop off from there. Memory Man is a novice Gnostic. Memory Man, we have to get you over to the Christian side, brother. Memory Man, you know I love him, man. I actually do. Memory Man's one of the coolest people I've ever known through YouTube chat. He's a really cool guy. Good musician. A deep thinker. A deep thinker. For sure. I like you, Memory Man. Yeah, we should live that long, Memory Man, and you know, we will live that long. Where did God come from, says Slick Brick? Well, I don't think that's for us to understand, you know. But I'll tell you this much: there has to be an initial cause, right? If there's no first action to start anything into existence, then nothing can ever come into existence. And that's a question that humanity will never be able to answer, regardless of what worldview you hold to. If you hold to a purely naturalistic worldview, then you have a question that cannot be answered. How did everything come from nothing? If you hold to a theistic worldview, it's still a philosophical issue, but at least it makes more sense that there was a being that exists outside of the creation who is able to create creation. That makes a lot more sense than saying nothing created everything. And so however you look at it, there has to be something that exists outside of time and space that created time and space. And if you don't want to call that thing God, then you have to ascribe attributes of God to something else and give it a different word, but it still is God, right? I mean, yeah, the Book of Jasher is an interesting book. As far as I'm aware, we can only trace it back to like the early 1000s and not too much earlier than that, so it might not be the authentic book, but it's up for debate. But it's definitely still interesting commentary. I like to read that book as well. Can I look at Bitcoin? I'm actually going to have to head out, guys. I'm going to have to peace out. But may the Lord bless all of you. JD Farag, I like JD Farag too, Daniel. I like him. May the Lord bless all you guys. What an interesting stream this has been. What motivates me to keep going every day? I'll tell you what motivates me, Blues. It is honestly, and I mean this 100%, my relationship with the Lord. Because I understand that there is a transcendent purpose to my being here, and that I have a mission here, which God has entrusted me with a family, He's entrusted me with a community, and He's even entrusted me with this YouTube channel. And I know that there's a purpose and a reason for it, and it's not just by accident. Otherwise, I would not have the drive to even live, honestly. But yes, may God bless all of you, and I'll see y'all in the next in the next stream. Peace.